My name is Maya Lawson. I'm 32 years old, and I was dead for 6 minutes. It happened on a quiet afternoon in Houston, Texas. I know how strange that sounds. 6 minutes, that is all it took to change everything. My life was never the same after that day. But you need to understand what happened, how it all unfolded, how it began with a tragedy that shook me to my core. It was a Wednesday afternoon when it all went wrong. I was driving down the highway with my husband, Jonathan, when the accident happened. It was a blow. One moment, we were laughing, talking about our plans for the weekend, and the next, there was nothing but chaos, screeching metal, and the cold, dark silence of death. They say that your life flashes before your eyes when you're about to die, but for me there was no flash, no memories rushing back, only cold, a crushing weight in my chest. I remember feeling it, the complete absence of air, as I slipped away. When I opened my eyes again, I was no longer in the car. I wasn't even in my body. I was floating, weightless, suspended in an endless void. My mind was spinning. I could hear whispers, like voices just out of reach, but I couldn't make sense of them. And then, I saw him, Jonathan. But he wasn't the same. His face, his eyes, they looked different. And in that moment, everything I had known, every belief, every instinct, seemed to shatter. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know who I was. All I knew was that I was supposed to be somewhere else. I should have been dead. What happens after death? I thought, was this it? This dark void, no warmth, no peace, just emptiness. I felt the weight of my grief pressing down on me. Jonathan was gone. How could he be gone? How could I still be here? Why was I still breathing when he was not? And then the voices, they became clearer. A strange, unfamiliar voice echoed. You have a choice to make, Maya, a choice that will change everything. The words felt heavy, like they were meant for me alone. What choice? I thought. How could I choose anything at all when everything felt so wrong? The light that I had seen in the distance, the light that pulled me closer, was now blinding. It wasn't just light, it was warmth, it was peace, but it was also terrifying. I could hear it calling to me, like a soft whisper in my soul, come closer. But then from the darkness, I heard another voice, one I never thought I'd hear again. Jonathan. But not the Jonathan I knew. His voice was different, broken. Maya, you have to forgive. It's the only way forward. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. Forgive? After everything? After what had happened to him? How could I possibly forgive? I was paralyzed, caught between the light and the darkness, between the love I once knew and the pain that would follow me for the rest of my life. It felt like hours. It felt like an eternity. But in that moment, I knew something had to change. But what was it? And then I woke up, just like that. Everything was different. The room, the sounds, the life I knew. Everything had shifted in a way I couldn't explain. And it was only then, when I was back, that I began to understand what that choice had meant. But I was not ready for the truth, not yet. Before that day, my life was ordinary. I lived in Houston with Jonathan. We had a simple, peaceful life. We weren't rich, but we had enough. Our little apartment, tucked away in a quiet neighborhood, was filled with the sound of laughter and love. Jonathan worked as a mechanic at a local auto shop, and I worked at a small advertising agency. We were just like everyone else. We had dreams, plans for the future. We talked about having children one day, buying a house, maybe even traveling the world. Our weekends were spent in the backyard, grilling under the Texas sun, talking about everything and nothing at all. But that Wednesday, everything changed, and I never saw it come. Jonathan and I had been talking about the usual work, life, the latest movie we wanted to watch. The sun was bright, the weather perfect. As we made our way to the grocery store, it was routine, until it wasn't. I still don't remember exactly what happened. One moment, We were driving along Highway 45, chatting like always, and the sound of a loud crash filled the air. The world around me spun violently, metal twisted, tires screeched, the car flipped. I felt the impact, but it wasn't a physical pain. It was like my body was separate from what was happening. Everything went dark. I remember the fear, the panic. I tried to call out to Jonathan, but my voice was trapped in my throat. The car came to a stop, and I don't know how long it took for anyone to arrive. When the paramedics found me, they told me that Jonathan didn't survive. They didn't even need to say it. I knew. His side of the car had taken the worst of the impact. He had been thrown from his seat. There was nothing they could do. I wasn't supposed to be alive, not after that. Not after what happened to him. The doctor said I was lucky. I wasn't sure I felt lucky. I felt empty. I didn't know what to do with myself. The love of my life was gone, and I was left with nothing but a broken heart and a shattered soul. I tried to keep going. I tried to put on a brave face for my family, for my friends. I went through the motions, attending the funeral, making the arrangements, but inside I was dead. I couldn't understand why I was still here. Why did I get to live, while he didn't? What kind of cruel joke was this? I couldn't shake the guilt. I kept asking myself, why not me? Why did I survive? Why did he have to die? And then there was the pain, a constant, gnawing pain in my chest. It felt like it was suffocating me, but I didn't know how to stop it. I couldn't even cry anymore. The tears had run dry. Everything felt numb. The world kept turning. But I was stuck in my grief, stuck in my confusion. I started to isolate myself. I pushed people away. I didn't want their pity. I didn't want anyone to tell me how to feel or what to do. I couldn't hear it. It all felt meaningless. The anger, it was consuming me. I didn't just hate the accident. I hated the world. I hated the driver who had caused it. Though I didn't even know who he was, I hated myself for surviving. I hated the fact that Jonathan would never get the chance to do all the things we had planned to do. I began to wonder, what was the point of life anymore? Was this it? Was this all there was? I was alive, but I didn't feel alive. I was just going through the motions, pretending that everything would be okay, even though I knew deep down it wouldn't be. That was when I started to question everything I had ever believed in, my faith, my purpose. I was shaken to my core. I had always believed in God, but now I wasn't so sure. Where was he in all of this? Why did he allow this to happen? Where was the justice in it all? One night, sitting alone in the dark, I found myself praying, not out of faith, but out of desperation. I needed answers. I needed something to make sense of all the chaos in my life. I needed to know why I was still here, and why everything felt so wrong. It was then that I heard the voice. It wasn't like anything I had ever heard before. It was deep, calm, and filled with a sense of knowing. Maya, you are not here by accident. Your life is not finished, but you must learn to forgive. The words sent a chill through my spine. Forgive. How could I forgive? How could I forgive anyone after what had happened? How could I forgive myself? The voice was persistent. Forgiveness is the only way forward. It is the key to healing. You cannot move forward without it. I didn't understand. How could I forgive someone who had destroyed my world? But then the voice softened. You have a choice that will change everything. The voice kept echoing in my mind. You must forgive. But I couldn't understand. How could I? The weight of grief, the rage, and the overwhelming feeling of being cheated out of a future with Jonathan. It was too much. I didn't want to forgive. I wasn't ready. But as the days dragged on, the question lingered. Why had I survived? Why had I lived when he didn't? It felt like I was stuck in some sort of cruel limbo, a place where time stood still. Then on a night I'll never forget, I fell asleep in my bed, my thoughts a mix of anger, confusion and sorrow. The voice was still there, calling to me, but I pushed it away, hoping it would fade. I wanted to ignore it. I wasn't ready to let go of my pain, but I could. I woke up to the strangest sensation. It was as though I was no longer in my body. I wasn't in my room. I wasn't even in the house. I was somewhere else. I didn't know where I was at first. There was no color, no shape, just an overwhelming sense of being surrounded by a soft, white light. The world as I knew it had disappeared. There was no sound, no movement, just this endless void, the kind of silence you feel in your bones. Then slowly images began to form. I saw flashes, visions of my life, of Jonathan, of the love we had shared. I could see us laughing together, holding hands, dreaming about the future. But as the images flickered, they quickly shifted. I saw myself standing alone in the darkness, crying, lost, with no way out. I saw Jonathan's face, his smile fading into nothing. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. It felt like the very essence of my being was being stretched, as if I were being pulled in every direction at once. And then I felt it, the warmth of light. It wasn't like anything I'd ever experienced. It was all-encompassing. It felt like a hug, like a divine embrace, welcoming me to a place where pain didn't exist. I thought, this is it. This is where I am supposed to be. But something stopped me. I couldn't let go. I couldn't surrender. My mind was racing. Why was I here? Why did I feel like I was supposed to be in this light, yet was still holding on to my anger? The warmth of the light intensified, pulling me deeper into its embrace. But with every inch I moved, I felt my anger, my confusion, my grief. They all clung to me. I didn't want to let go of them. I didn't want to forgive. But then I heard it again. The voice. It was not the same voice I had heard before, but something deeper, more authoritative, a presence. It was gentle, yet unyielding. You are not here by mistake, Maya, but to move forward. You must forgive. Forgiveness is your choice. You have the power to heal yourself. I wanted to resist, to stay in the comfort of my bitterness. How could I forgive? The weight of the anger felt so familiar. It was all I had left, and I didn't want to let go of the pain. Suddenly, I was no longer alone. I felt the presence of others around me, shadowy figures, indistinct, but watching. I tried to call out, but my voice was swallowed by the silence. And then, as if by instinct, I knew they were souls, lost souls. Their faces were twisted in agony, some reaching out, others screaming. The darkness had taken them, just like it had tried to take me. I could feel their sorrow, their regret, their endless yearning for peace. It was so raw, so real. My heart ached for them. I could see them still, trapped in their anger and pain, unable to move forward. I felt a heavy weight inside me, something dark, something that wasn't mine to bear. It was the same weight I had carried for so long. The anger, the hatred, the fear. It was all here, in this place, surrounding me. But what did it mean? Why was I seeing this? Why was I being shown this suffering? And then, amidst the chaos, I saw him, the figure standing before me, a man. His face was blurred, indistinct, but I knew instantly who it was. It was the man who had caused the accident, the one who had taken Jonathan from me. He stood there, his eyes filled with sorrow, with guilt, with remorse. I could see it in his face, but I could also see the fear, the same fear I had felt for so long, the fear of facing what he had done. I wanted to scream at him. I wanted to punish him. I wanted him to feel the pain I had carried for so long, but I didn't. Something inside me shifted. A voice, gentle but firm, spoke again. You have a choice. You can choose to forgive him, or you can choose to stay here, in this place of darkness, forever. The weight of that decision pressed down on me like 1,000 tons. The man's face twisted, pleading with me silently, as if he knew I held his fate in my hands. And in that moment, I realized something. The anger I had been holding onto wasn't just hurting him, it was suffocating me. I had to forgive. It was the only way forward. But just as I was about to make the decision, I was pulled back, the light, the voices, the presence, it all faded away in an instant, and with it I woke up. When I opened my eyes again, everything was different. The sterile smell of the hospital room, the soft beep of the heart monitor, these were the things I focused on. But none of it felt real. I could feel the weight of the choice I had just made, even if I didn't understand it fully. I was back, alive, but I couldn't shake the image of the man's face, his eyes filled with sorrow and regret. I couldn't stop the way my heart clenched when I thought about him, the one responsible for everything that had happened. The anger I'd carried for so long, it was still there. It didn't disappear just because I woke up. I had made a decision, or at least part of it. I had chosen to forgive, but what did that mean in the real world? Could forgiveness really heal the pain I'd been carrying for months? Could it undo everything that had happened? I didn't know. The voice that had spoken to me, "You must forgive," kept echoing in my head. The truth of it, like a seed planted deep inside me, was growing, but I was still afraid of what forgiveness would mean, afraid of what it would cost me. Jonathan's face, his laugh, his warmth, they were gone. Would forgiving the man who took him from me make it feel any better? Could I ever feel peace again? The days passed in a blur. I sat in my hospital bed, staring at the walls, lost in my thoughts. I kept replaying everything that had happened, all the moments with Jonathan that now felt so distant, but the anger, the grief, they were still there, gnawing at me, refusing to let go. I knew I had to make a decision. I couldn't keep carrying this weight. It was eating me alive, slowly breaking me down. The decision to forgive wasn't just a spiritual one. It was a choice to let go of the pain that was suffocating me. But how? How do you forgive someone who has caused you this much hurt? How do you let go of the thing that has defined you for so long? The anger, the hate, they were all that was left. I had spent months blaming him, blaming the man who caused the accident, but now I realized that blame would never bring Jonathan back. It would never heal the hole in my heart. I had to let go. But how? How could I do that when the pain was so deep? When every memory of Jonathan felt like a knife in my chest? How could I forgive when I didn't even know where to begin? And that's when I remembered the light, the voice. Forgiveness is the only way forward. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and for the first time since that day, I let myself think of something other than the pain. I thought of the man, the one who had been responsible. What was his life like now? What had he lost? The truth hit me like a wave. He wasn't the enemy. He was just like me, lost, broken, trying to make sense of a world that had fallen apart. In that moment, something inside me shifted. I wasn't forgiving him for his sake. I was forgiving him for mine. Forgiveness wasn't about excusing what he had done. It was about letting go of the hold that anger had on me. It was about setting myself free, but it wasn't easy. I spent the next few days in a haze, unsure of what to do next. Could I find the strength to face the man who had taken everything from me? Could I face the reality of what had happened? I made the decision to visit him. The thought terrified me, but I knew I had to do it. I couldn't keep running from the truth. I couldn't keep hiding in my anger. If I was ever going to heal, I had to face it. The prison was cold, sterile. The guards didn't ask many questions, just directed me to the small room where I would meet him. My hands shook as I walked down the hallway, my heart pounding in my chest. When I saw him, I almost couldn't breathe. He was sitting on the other side of the glass, his eyes wide with fear. He looked broken. His face was gaunt, his eyes hollow, like a man who had been carrying his own burden for far too long. I sat down and picked up the phone. I didn't know what to say at first. I just stared at him, the man who had taken so much from me. Finally, he spoke. His voice was shaky. "I never meant for this to happen. I never wanted to hurt anyone. I've been living with the guilt every day." His words hit me like a slap. It was the truth. He wasn't just some monster. He was a person just like me. A person who had made a terrible mistake and now had to live with it. "I know," I said softly, my voice barely a whisper. "I know. I've been angry. I've been lost in my own pain. But I'm done. I'm done holding on to it." The tears started to fall then, uncontrollably. But they weren't tears of anger. They were tears of release, tears of letting go. And in that moment, I realized something. I wasn't forgiving him for him. I was forgiving him for me, for my peace, for my healing. "I forgive you," I said, my voice steady now. "I forgive you." I could see the relief in his eyes. The weight of guilt seemed to lift off his shoulders, just like it had been lifted off mine. And for the first time in months, I felt a sense of peace. It wasn't complete, but it was enough. It was enough to know that I had made the choice to forgive, and in that choice, I had found the first step toward healing. But the journey wasn't over yet. It had only just begun. It's been months since I made the decision to forgive, and yet, sometimes, I still find myself grappling with the aftermath. Forgiveness isn't a switch you flip, and then everything is suddenly okay. It's a process, a journey, one that continues long after the choice is made. But with every step I take, I feel lighter, I feel freer. It's strange, isn't it, how forgiveness, something that seems so difficult, so impossible, can change everything. I spent months buried under the weight of my anger, my hurt, and I thought it was keeping me grounded. But the truth is, it was keeping me stuck. It was holding me hostage. When I chose to forgive, it wasn't just about releasing the man who caused the accident. It was about releasing myself. It was about freeing my heart from the shackles of pain and anger that had ruled my life for so long. And I found peace. Not perfect peace, but peace nonetheless. I've learned to breathe again, to live again. It's not easy, and it doesn't mean the pain of losing Jonathan has gone away. It never will. But forgiveness has opened a door that I didn't know existed. It's shown me a way forward. I see the world differently now. I don't look at people the way I used to. I don't see them as enemies or as obstacles. I see them as people, just like me, broken, struggling, trying to find their way. And I understand now that we all carry burdens, even if we can't always see them. It's been hard to walk this path. There have been moments when I've wanted to give up, when I've wanted to retreat into my grief, to let it swallow me whole, but I can't do that anymore. I've learned that we don't get to choose the hand we're dealt, but we do get to choose how we respond to it. And I choose peace, I choose forgiveness, I choose life. But I know it's not just about me. This journey, this choice to forgive, is one I want to share with the world. I want others to know that forgiveness isn't weakness, it's strength. It's the strength to let go of the past and embrace a future you didn't think was possible. So I ask you now, the same question that was asked of me. Could you forgive? Could you forgive someone who hurt you so deeply? Someone who shattered your life into pieces? I know it's not easy, believe me, I know. But I've learned that forgiveness isn't about excusing the pain or pretending it never happened. It's about setting yourself free from the chains that hold you in place. It's about finding peace in the midst of chaos. And I believe that peace is possible for all of us. If I can find it, then so can you. But here's where you come in. I want to hear from you. What's your story? What's holding you back from forgiving someone in your life? Have you ever struggled with forgiveness? Leave a comment and share your thoughts. Let's start a conversation. Let's talk about the power of forgiveness, about the journey toward healing. And if you found peace in forgiveness, share that too. Because your story might be the one that helps someone else take that first step toward freedom. I know what it's like to feel trapped in your own grief, to feel like forgiveness is impossible, but I promise you, it's not. There is hope, there is peace, and there is freedom on the other side. Forgiveness is the key, and I've unlocked the door. Forgiveness isn't about letting someone off the hook, it's about freeing yourself from the chains they've bound you with. But here's the question I've been asking myself. Can we ever truly forgive? Or is there some pain that's too deep to heal? I made my choice, but what about you? Can you forgive the unforgivable? If you want to hear more life-changing NDE stories, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a powerful testimony. Join our community and be part of a journey that's all about transformation and spiritual growth.